What is up, everyone? Mr. Wire here, bringing forward the first annual State of the Watch Collection video, the only time where I get to showcase my newfound addiction and how deep my pockets got hit. But before we start this video, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and let's get it rolling. My addiction, as other majorities, once started with none other than a Seiko. And that Seiko in particular is the Seiko reference SNK 355. This watch earns the honorable mention spot as it's not in my possession anymore. I know. The first purchase watch, and I don't keep it for sentimental reasons. I was only 18 at the time, and I was super naive. I thought that a 37mm diameter watch was way too small and it was considered a women's watch. And in order to feel accomplished, I needed to get a watch that was way larger and heavier. Regardless, I ended up getting some fashion watches here and there, I know, and I really didn't dig deep into the horological aspect of the hobby until I saw this one watch at the mall. And that watch is none other than the Tissot PRX. From the moment I saw it in the case, that watch stood out to me, and I absolutely love it. The clean deep green dial, the minimal markers, the integrated bracelet, and the way it just reflects light, it just stood out to me. I was either 18 or 19 at the time, and spending more than $400 on a watch was just purely mind-boggling to me. I felt like this watch was a luxury watch, but come to think of it, it's more entry luxury per se. Nonetheless, I got it for Christmas from my lovely parents, and I am forever grateful for that. But I can't help but think to myself sometimes that I'm actually not grateful for it, because they're the ones that kickstarted my addiction. Regardless, we transition to the next watch, which is the Diesel Vert. Look, I get it. I kind of nodded to the fact that fashion watches were kind of iffy, but to the eyes of a 19-year-old at the time, my eyes went crazy. I own a clothing brand, and from a fashion/designer standpoint, the aesthetics of this watch is very prominent and desirable, especially in today's culture. Originating from the alabaster industry's design language, you would kind of understand the stigma behind this impulsive purchase. I wanted an alabaster just because of the way it presented itself. We seriously got to do a case study on this because alabaster once started with soldering onto fake Rolexes to now having their own dedicated watch with I believe a Solito movement. I don't know, it's some sort of Swiss movement inside, but how did you go from this to this? Regardless, those watches start at $2,400, which is a hefty amount for a watch. Because of the precious metal, intricate and unique design, and from a fashion standpoint, this brand creates more than just a watch. They create jewelry in a sense. And with that being said, I didn't get one. Because being 19 at the time, spending $2,400 on a watch was just mind-boggling when I could have spent it on other watches or other desirable materialistic items. Until one day I was walking into the mall and I approached the Diesel store and spotted it. I loved it and yet again got it as a gift for my 20th birthday from my girlfriend. In a horological aspect, I would be going bananas, but in a fashion/designer standpoint, I love it. And it's also sentimental. The next two watches I'm showcasing happens to be on the timeline of when I was working at my family's food truck, and this was to commemorate their hardships, their successes, and just all the memories and experiences that I've gotten up until that point. These two watches are the Seiko Speedtimer SSC 813, or known as the Saytona Panda, and the Presage Cocktail Time SRPB 43. Diving back into my love for Seiko, I wanted to get a watch with a different complication other than a date function. And I stumbled upon the Saytona. It is a strap monster, solar powered, value for money, chronograph powerhouse, tool beast of a watch. Okay, that might be over exaggerating, but I absolutely love this watch. Till this day. Aesthetics to me is truly important in regards to how you portray yourself as a person and the psychological aspects of it as well. I wanted a dress watch at the time because my collection was a bit too sporty. So I got this beautiful watch to accompany the collection. It contains the sky blue guilloche-ish dial with sharp lines radiating from the center, giving it a white hue from different angles and lighting. The proportions are classy, the exhibitionist caseback showcasing the beautiful gold tone rotor is beautiful. But other than that, this watch is truly amazing, but I could see this being traded or sold in the future just because I want the dark blue dial one or the gold version variant with the power reserve on the dial. Is this a good idea, guys? Am I doing the right thing? Let me know in the comments. I don't know. All I know is that we're gonna go over the next watch, and that watch is the TimexQ 1978 reissue. Now this watch is a special case, primarily due to two reasons. One being the fact that this is a vintage inspired watch, and two being where the inspiration comes from and the desirability from that. Now I always find it funny how I would often say, I would never get into that watch, and then a couple days later start typing something on the web and looking it up. Vintage and field watches. Well, that's what happened with the TimexQ. I always avoided the idea of getting into vintage watches because of the servicing and the wear and tear, all of that. But I started getting that itch. The itch that could not be soothed with any type of lotion in this world. The watch itch. I first started looking at vintage gold Omegas, and boy, do they look good. But I keep running over that same issue, justifying paying for a vintage watch when I could get a new one that most likely doesn't need to be serviced, repaired, or have wear and tear. I eventually got decision fatigued and decided to stop searching and just let go. Until I saw Dexter, which ended up reviving the search. I liked how his watch had the 70s flair to it with the expandable bracelet and cushion case shape. So I started looking for similar watches. I saw the Bulova Caravels and other models until I looked at the TimexQ reissue on Walmart for $150. And you guessed it, I bought it. And that has got to be one of the best impulse purchases in my life. Because once I changed that strap to the expandable bracelet, I felt relieved, just like Dexter putting in a blood slide in his box. Get it? Because in the show, that's how he... Anyways, it's got a quartz movement, got a day-date feature, domed crystal, easy battery swap, nice polishing, and a cushion case for that retro-inspired look. For $150, that is a steal. And if ever my dark passenger gets tired of that expandable bracelet, I can always opt in for a leather strap for that vintage, dressy look. On to the next watch. This watch is from Zero Time, named T4 The Archer, which is a little bit different from your household names. The first time I saw this watch was from a Watchfinders video featuring Andrew Morgan's commentary. I was instantly drawn into this watch because of the exposed skeletonized movement, tourbillon, and shape reminiscent of Richard Mille's, while still paying respect to its own distinctive design language. As I noted earlier, I wanted a watch collection that had variety. Variety showcasing different complications. And when I was on YouTube looking into this watch, I was drawn into it because 1, I don't have a skeleton dial movement. 2, it's almost as if it's a baller / statement piece watch. And 3, it has a freaking tourbillon. And although this watch is manual wound and lacks a second hand, it adds a more classy feel despite its loud, sporty appearance. And realistically, who's going to be using this for functionality when everyone's going to be mesmerized by the tourbillon, exposed case, and sporty look? Nonetheless, this is going to be one of the pieces that I'm going to cherish forever just because it is my first ever grail watch. And now I'm going to show you the second one. And finally but not least, the Seiko Diver GMT 1968 Reinterpretation reference SPB 383J1. Yes. I might as well call this the state of the Seiko collection, but hear me out. I absolutely love this watch just because it's my first ever dive watch. As you know, this watch started with an itch, and at this point I should invest in some really good itch cream to soothe that, but regardless, I caved in and I got it. Originally, I wanted to get a Rolex Hulk, not because of the fact that I was in the budget for one, but because it was one of my grail watches, and it's green like money. Then I saw Teddy Baldessar's video about Hulk alternatives, and I decided to dig in. I encountered the Longines Hydro Conquest and was reeled in. Get it? Because it's like water. You know, hydro means water, and it's like fish. I like this watch because it was in my budget. It pairs well with a rubber strap, the Longines prestige and history, and primarily the fact that it looks great as an everyday watch. I saw it in person at an AD, loved the wrist presence, but I felt like it was missing something: the dial. The dial is one of the most important aspects of the watch, and this watch had a matte dial compared to its other lineups. I get that it was intentionally designed that way, maybe because they wanted more of a military/sporty look, but I think it would look just as good with a sunburst finish. So I eventually departed from that idea. Until you guessed it, I was browsing on YouTube and I saw a new watch. I should just delete YouTube at this point and just block it from everywhere. Anyways, I saw this watch and I dived in. Get it? Dived. I liked it because it had a unique complication. And this watch contained a GMT. The fact that I could track my home time and another time zone I probably won't be even near anytime soon is just amazing. I probably would just mess with it because duh, I have 4 hands now. But in the scenario where I would travel to another location, having this watch is not only good for everyday wear, but it's extremely convenient. You know, I think it's safe to assume that 18-year-old me would be very proud of me right now, just because of the fact that this watch is larger and heavier. At the end of the day, I realized it's not how much money you put into the game, but rather the experiences and memories you make with these watches. You could own a Casio, I have, and people would still commemorate you. Just wear what you like. And over the course of 2 years, that is the very expensive lesson that I've learned. Hoping to get a Cartier in 2025. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.